Yes, you'll have an audience.
Always on TV.
So welcome to the Winter Local Board of Equalization meeting. It's Monday, March 18th, 2024. At this time, the Winter City will do roll call.
Councilman Clay?
Here.
Councilman Hockett?
Here.
Councilman Clunt? Councilman Schramm? Councilman Schuyler?
Here.
Councilman Sprinkle?
Here.
Mayor Brozick?
Here.
Mr. Mayor, you have 4 councilmen and yourself present.
Excuse me, one more just walked in.
Thank you. 431.
Just under the wire, Austin.
All right. If you'd please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Council, do you have any conflict of interest with this agenda? Hearing and seeing none. City of Winter will move on to recognition of visitors. As with all City of Winter meetings, there's a 10-minute period for anybody to address the Winter City Council for any topic of, not yet. You're item 2 on new business. But we do have to open it up. If anybody wants to walk in, they can walk in and address this council on anything that they want to talk about. Hearing and seeing no public input, we'll move on to new business. There are 2 items tonight for the Board of Equalization agenda. Number 1 is the review of all appraisals in the City of Winter. At this time, the finance officer has that list and will distribute for review to
Yes.
the entire council.
So all of you have it already. It is the longest page in your packet, pages. I believe there's 4 pages front and back. Their concentration this year was 7th Street and South. So you'll notice quite a few different names on there. Those that are highlighted, you'll see at the very far right side, listed why there was such a big discrepancy. A lot of times, and they did a meeting last week for anyone who wanted to attend to explain the process of property taxes. So ultimately, the county assessor or Board of Equalization or Director of Equalization, has certain laws that they have to follow through state statute that goes off of sales in that general location and any additions or deletions anyone's done to their property, and it's based off of the real property, not necessarily the contents of. She is required by law, doesn't matter she or he, they are required by law to be within 85 to 95% of what resale value is of that property. The main reason that the property taxes come before this local Board of Equalization is because the state statute requires it starts at the local level. When you look at your property taxes, it's split 3 to 4 different directions. The school board getting the majority of the taxes based off of mill levy in each individual township. The townships get a portion of it. The county gets a very small portion. In fact, typically they get the lowest portion of it. And then the city, if you are in city limits, will get a portion thereof as well. A lot of how it's based off of is based off of how much money your city, your county, your township, and your school request out of property taxes. Now, they are limited to how much they can request to a certain extent, but if they ask for the max every single year, then you're gonna get the max mill levy out of that. There is a maximum that the state has set for what type of percentage on CPI that any individual local government can ask for. They max it out at 3% CPI. Then if there's any new growth, which is where building permits come in, then you can take that new growth percentage and add that on as well. The City of Winter Personally, we have actually some property taxes, we could request more than we are, but we're not requesting our full allotted amount for multiple reasons. Number one being that, believe it or not everyone pays their property taxes. So when we set our budget, we set it based off of real numbers. We're not going to say that we are going to get $685,000 worth of property taxes when we can see based off of trend, which is what the mayor and I review each year, we're not getting that much. So rather than trying to come up with $100,000 of lost revenue, we set it for a real expectation number of revenue, and that's what we request from the county at that time too. So wanted to explain that. Are there any questions on the review of the reappraisals of the city of Winter? And then we also, if anyone wants to look, this has been in the office for the last week. This is all city properties and what they're appraised at. And I can pass that around too if anyone wants to look at it. And that actually, so we return a copy back to the Director of Equalization, and then a copy stays in the city finance office for 5 years. Yes.
Council, I would just advise after concluding your review, Chair would entertain a motion on the review of the reappraisals in the city of Winter.
I'll make a motion to, is it accept the list presented in front of us.
I'll second that.
Councilman Schuyler with the motion, Councilman Clay with the second. Floor is open to comments or questions, council.
Without going through every individual person on here, are we accepting this as factual as far as amounts?
Ultimately, what you're accepting is the fact that you don't see anything outlandish out there, i.e. a simple fat finger like $48,000 worth of chips. That's really what you're looking at. It's understood by the law that you are not assessors, therefore you do not know the whole process, but you're ultimately saying you don't see anything outlandish out there.
But there is some gross neighborhood differences. In my case, on Sunset Avenue, they're all, I mean, all those houses were built out there in 73, 74. They're all roughly the same square feet. And, you know, that they got my house, for instance, at 190, right across the street, Judy Wilcox is just like mine, built at the same time, hers at 144. There are discrepancies within neighborhoods that people don't understand. And I know what they're looking at, but I sat down an hour and a half with Denise, and it was really good that I did. And she answered a lot of questions that I myself had on my property values. And so, you know, looking at everything in total, in sum, there are some basic differences. There just are, you know. Even though you got the age, you got the style, they were all, back in the day, they were FHA houses. And that's what they were called around town. But there's different values for them today. So.
There's a lot to look at here, but what I just quick looked at is I see my house is valued at less than Mayor Brozig, so
Oh
it looks
my.
good to me.
Wrong.
It looks good to me. She's doing a good job.
Whoa.
It's interesting. I didn't realize this, but ours was reappraised 2 years ago significantly. And my spouse has notified me that in less than, I think it's been 2 years, we're seeing another substantial. And
I just look at my house. It's appraised at 212,000. Would I take 212? No way. No way. Yeah. So,
We'll have to tell the previous. We'll have to mention that to the previous.
yeah, I even let her in the basement too.
Stand in line.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, Chair will call the question, which is to accept the list of reappraisals in the city of Winter. All in favor, would you please say aye?
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it, and this motion carries. Item number 2 is in regards to parcel 48, number 48.01.18.07.
It's not here, is it?
It is attached to the back page. I think in your case, it might be the front page, sorry. Everyone else's, it's the back page of your pink packet.
That's what I was looking for through this. This is just.
Yep. So, and commercial property is reappraised each year too, depending on which location
Okay,
she's
that was
doing.
emailed.
But this is a commercial property that is being contested. It is the Pix Theater at Lot 7, Block 18, original Pix Theater. So it must be original to the city, because most time it says original City of Winter. But what the appeal is it's assessed at $100,000, if I'm understanding that correctly, and ultimately, Mr. Berg and Mrs. Berg, I'm not sure if you're on that. Nope, you're just here for fun. Is here to address the council on the amount that it is appraised for. That was his discrepancy, was the amount of appraisal. Before you start, if you don't mind, we had a question beforehand, and I'd like to address that. So originally, it was brought to their attention. I believe you got your accountant involved, the assessor was involved, and so the question was, they're a nonprofit, why aren't they property tax exempt? There are very few businesses, 501c3s, that are considered property tax exempt, and that's by the law. The ones that are local government agencies, hospitals.
Schools.
And schools, yeah, which is local government. What was the third one? Churches. Thank you, churches. So those are the only ones that are by law considered to be tax exempt for property taxes. So once we learned that information and moved forward off of that one, now they're here to discuss the value that it's appraised as.
I'm going to treat this as a public hearing. Dr. Berg, I'm going to allow you to address the council with your testimony, anything that you'd like council to consider, and then we'll move on. If you'd like to step to the podium or sit there.
I'll just, straight up. Yeah, the movie theater basically is an old building. It was assessed, I think, before this was $30-some thousand, which is probably appropriate. That movie theater was given to basically the community of Winter with the stipulation that it be a movie theater and that we have a 501c3. The family of Meister did that. And so we have been running it as a theater, and it, burned down a couple times. A lot of what goes on there is volunteers. We've done a lot of fundraising. Basically, if we didn't have fundraising, we probably couldn't keep it going. So if somebody was to buy that and use it for there wouldn't really be any other use for it other than a movie theater, because it's got that sloped floor. The basement leaks, thanks to you guys. And so the sloped floor makes the basement, you'd have to be, about that foot tall to use all of the basement. And so it's really not a saleable piece of property, so I guess I would ask that we have our taxes reduced as we just have to go out and raise more money to pay them. We come to you and ask for money, I guess, which doesn't make much sense. So that's all I got. Any questions?
Tony, how much did your taxes actually go up? Have you
Well, I
seen
don't
that?
know what nobody knows. what
Nobody
the
knows
taxes
yet.
go up. But the appraisal went from
Right.
32,000 to 100,000.
I have just heard in conversation that taxes haven't been going up. The appraisals went way up, but the actual dollars taxes due.
Well, we haven't
haven't
seen
been
that. I don't think
Yeah.
we've seen that yet.
We have.
No, nobody's seen that. I can't think they're going down.
Yeah, they ain't going down, that's for sure.
Yeah.
On my parcel, the assessed value went up $60,000.
Yeah.
1 year jump. Yours went up roughly 60, right? I mean,
70%, yeah.
yeah, on that building, and she told me this isn't locked in or anything, but I says, how is this gonna affect my actual taxes? She says, Joe, your taxes shouldn't go up any more than $100, 90 to 100. So that's a ballpark figure that she gave me that you guys probably could
We
apply.
haven't heard that one, but.
No,
But, Joe,
probably could
I
apply,
still
but,
don't think it's worth 100,000.
no,
that's what I was gonna say. You're comparing a house to
yep.
an old
It's a
building.
commercial-
Yeah.
How old is that
commercial
building?
structure.
It's gotta be one of the originals.
Original, so early 1909,
19
I would
1911.
say,
Right-
I have
right there, probably
photographs of
19.
it from 1912 when it was there.
Yeah.
Probably 80 years old, I would guess.
I bet
I
it was
wasn't here at the
I
time.
bet it was built in the 20s. I bet it was built in the late 20s.
Yeah.
I have a postcard from the 20s and it has the building there.
From the, yes, that's what I'm
And I don't,
guessing. right?
that's, so the
Right.
earliest I can document is the 20s.
Yeah.
Historical.
No, that means it's worth more.
Yeah, no, the fact is for me, how we got to where we are today with our movie theater in the city of Winter was donated by Rick's
Right.
family.
And it's,
And it was nonprofit, all you guys put all your time and effort into it. In my mind, I see clear that it might not actually fit the 501c bracket.
It doesn't fit the
but,
bracket, it's
But
still-
in my mind, it fits that it should have some sort of tax leniency because of how it come about, you know what I mean?
And-
And how it's operated, it's a nonprofit.
it's to benefit.
You guys
the-
aren't getting rich off it.
It's just to benefit the city of Winter, basically is what it is.
That's my point.
Yeah.
It's there for the citizens to enjoy, so I think if there's one property that maybe we could grant some leniency to, I think this
Right.
fits that case
Do
myself.
we have the authority,
Legal authority.
legal authority to knock down the appraisal?
Point of
Pardon me?
information.
Recommendation.
Say that again.
Do we have the legal authority to say this is assessed at this price?
Your authority here is to determine as a board what you believe the true and accurate value should be at if it's not what it is at now.
And then when we're done here, we gotta go to the county
Yep.
commission.
Right.
Yeah. So
How- how could I-
what are you,
Oh, sorry.
hold on a second. What are you thinking the appraisal should be?
I'm happy with the old appraisal.
The 37,000?
37,000, yeah. I'm happy, I mean, I don't mind paying some taxes, but yowzer. I don't think it's worth 100,000.
No, I agree with you, Tony.
Mr. Mary,
Point of information.
It still has to stay in the theater.
No, but what else would you use it for?
Yeah, I
If was
understand
one
that,
short
but
leg,
we're
you're
right.
right.
So,
Because if it's not operated as a theater, it's an empty lot.
It's a tear down. Yeah. Because, yeah, what else? Now, they had a church across the street in that one over there for a while. You know, leaky roofs, people move on. It takes a lot to maintain one of those old devils.
Yep. Oh, yes.
Councilman Clay.
so Mr. Hockett, I agree with everything that you've said. about,
What? I'm shocked. Are you kidding me?
this may be the only time you probably heard
This is the
me,
only time.
will hear me say that,
Katie.
that I agree with what you're saying. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, I don't think that's the position of what this board is for, is to determine, hey, we need to cut them a break because who they are, what they are, and what they're doing. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr.
So
Attorney.
far, you're correct.
I think the position of this board is to determine the value
That's it.
of the building.
Right.
That's what this board is.
And that's why I came here, and
Yep.
it's still not worth 100,000.
Yep.
Then you missed some of my point I was making, that in light, I gave the background attendant information of how we acquired it. But what he said, I agree 100%. And what Austin alluded to, it's an empty lot. If those guys divest themselves of that, what is anybody in the town gonna use it for, so that it affects the direct value of it? And this board can
Yeah,
determine
right.
the direct value.
Yeah.
You wanna buy it, Joe?
Me? No.
My opinion is the lot next to it's empty. If that lot was empty, it's $30,000-$40,000 lot on Main Street, and the building isn't, to me, isn't worth anything more than the lot.
I would agree with that.
It's just- You guys doctored up the south side,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a super old building that.
Yeah, when you tore that one down, I think birds could fly through that wall. So we had to go.
Did you say birds or bergs?
Birds. So I went and hit up people and got $10,000 to insulate that side, so keep the birds out.
Did you ever come to us? I know you came initially, and I said we needed to finish your job and tear that chunk off, which we did.
Yeah.
But you were asking us to make a contribution to help towards that repair, but you never had to come
Because that was
back.
your wall.
Right, and we got
We
that
took the
wall.
wall off, and then we had to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that's done, but my time?
I would like the council to know, a few years ago, or maybe 1 year ago,
It was a year ago.
you passed a discretionary formula. So for anyone inside of a improvement district or growth district, which that's the entire city limits, any growth that they do, if it's above $5,000, they go into this 7-year tax formula break. So for the first year, which they're saying there was $58,840 added to the assessed value this year, is what Janice has on here, $58,840. That will not, they won't have to pay a cent on that for the first year. Then for each year thereafter, it will slowly go up to full percent at the 7 years. So they are getting a break for the improvements that they did over the next 7 years based off of the tax formula. Now, what quick text she just gave me, I'm not sure what you paid last year in property taxes, but what she's assessing it to be approximately, based on the number she has with her, $1,600 total in property taxes for the lot and the building, per year. But they are getting a break, so they won't see that $1,600 in this year's payments, because they will get a break over the next 7 years.
Basically, it's gonna go up $200 a year on that formula. First year's free, year two would be $200.
Yeah, they're trying to lull you into something.
Yep.
The second year will be $400, third year $600.
So the 1,600 is the total, that's not new. That's just,
I don't
that
want
includes
it.
what they've been
And
paying,
then that's broke out. Well, that's what they've been paying.
Well,
But then
what they've
every
been
year
paying
it
plus
keeps going up.
the new, it's total
And
16.
then we don't get to talk about it.
yeah.
Anyway,
Is what it's
Austin,
about.
did you make
thank you.
that?
Yeah.
Austin, did you make that
Are you
motion?
gonna stay until council makes a decision?
Yeah, you better wait.
Austin, I
Well,
think,
We're gonna make a decision right pretty quick.
Are we gonna do that?
Yeah.
It's up to you.
I don't know how many hours it gonna take.
He's gonna leave mad or glad, one of the two.
Council, is there a motion?
So are we just motioning to
recommend.
Going to the county, or are we recommending the price?
You have to recommend a price.
You have
You
to
have to
recommend a
recommend-
value that you believe it to be.
To
And
the
the
county.
process is, then it goes to the
It
county.
goes to the county.
And this, and I should clarify, Chandra is absolutely correct on the discretionary formula, but it does not affect what council's obligation is here to look at determining value. The discretionary formula comes into play after that's determined. The council's job is to determine what you believe the value of the property is.
And to further clarify, if you make a recommendation, you're making that recommendation to the Director of Equalization.
Right.
If she agrees with you for whatever reason and says, yep, I'm okay with that, it could stop right there.
Yep.
Now, if she disagrees with your value because it's not within the legal required amount that she has to have, then she'll say, nope, sorry, you guys gotta come to the county because I can't break the law.
I think for building a lot on Main Street, I know there's not a lot of places beating on our doors wanting to buy empty lots, but I think I'd make a motion to set it at 50,000. I think that's a fair number for a business on Main Street.
I'll second that.
Councilman Clunt with the motion, Councilman Hockett with the second. Council, discussion on that motion.
So, I don't disagree. But we're gonna have everybody on Main Street coming in. Or they should. If that's our position, a fair number for your verbiage, a fair number for a building on Main Street, everybody should come in and say, I want my building to be only $50,000 on Main Street.
I don't think there's gonna be any buildings that have a sloped floor, no basement, unusable.
But I'm just saying what you said.
Yeah.
You said a
You gotta
building
look at
on
the-
Main Street.
You gotta look at the structure.
Yep,
Yes, you
I
gotta look
don't,
at the
I'm
structure.
just talking about verbiage.
The other buildings could be
Yeah.
put into apartments or whatever.
Yeah. Tony,
This one couldn't.
can I ask a question, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
It probably not even a bearing, it's just probably curiosity. When the Meister family gave it to you, you said it only could be used as a movie theater.
Right.
Is there any provisions to ever, if the movie theater ceases to exist,
Right.
it can never, yeah. There, you have no marketability then if it can only ever be used as a movie theater.
Well, that would be the only thing you could use it for. I mean, you'd
Yeah.
have to put
Because it's structurally.
hundreds of thousands of dollars in there to straighten the
Yeah.
floor out. and, Yeah, it'd be cheaper to build new.
Mr. Mayor, I have no problem. Yeah.
That's a legal question, I guess.
Well, and I wasn't involved in that particular part of the estate, so I can't give
Right.
you the answer to that. As a general rule, there's usually a provision of what happens if,
Yeah.
but I don't know what that stipulation was in this case.
I have no problem with what you're saying. It's just the verbiage of a building on Main Street, and I wanted specific clarity on that.
And I'd add.
And structurally, because of
add
the
that
slope floor.
structure.
Okay.
Better motion maybe to motion for just that particular building.
Yeah, highlight that.
Like structurally sound buildings.
Is that an amendment
Yeah.
to your motion? Is that a second to the amendment?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Chair is going to call the question to recommend an appraised, or excuse me, assessed value of $50,000 for parcel 48.01.18.07 due to the structure of the building. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. This motion carries.
Hey, thanks for coming, guys.
Thank you.
Council, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Ooh, that was a race. I didn't know who had that one. I'm gonna give it to Ron, who had the second.
Yep.
I'll second.
Okay. Councilman Sprinkle with the motion to adjourn. Councilman Schuyler with the second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please please say nay. We are adjourned at 5 o'clock. Good point.
Stick around, just a second.